Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is the part 2 of the Rarejob and ENGOO comparison. Without further ado, let's continue. Again, let's have the disclaimer. The purpose of this video is to help tutor aspirants decide which company is the best fit for their needs and preferences. Both ESL companies provide good opportunities, but there are differences in rates, incentives, cancellation guidelines, etc. The information provided in this video is the latest, but may change at any time by the company. Please check their websites for the most up-to-date information. All right, let's begin. So let's talk about the lesson room. Sa ENGOO, background effects are available. So, kung medyo makalat ang iyong background, it's okay kasi pwede kang mamili ng background effect. Dun sa background effect ay marami kang pagpipilian. Sometimes gumagawa sila ng background effects depending on celebrations. For example, Valentine's, may magkakaroon sila ng background effect na may heart, mga ganon. Pag Christmas, meron din silang designs ng background effects na may Christmas tree, ganon. Also, before the lesson starts, you can enter the lesson room anytime before the start of the lesson. So kung gusto mong mag-advance reading, you can enter actually kahit 30 minutes before. Pero ang advice talaga ay 15 minutes to 5 minutes before the lesson start. Next, the materials are readily available for clicking. So pag enter mo ng lesson room, kapag may napili na mismo yung student, kunwari, pinili na nila yung lesson na yon. So parang inopen na nila on their end. Yun na yung magpa-pop up. Just like, meron kasing mga lesson materials na hindi siya nakalagay mismo dun sa website. Just like side-by-side materials. So kapag in-enter mo yung lesson room, tsaka mo lang makikita yung side-by-side na material nila. However, maganda kasi pwede kang mag-enter nga in advance dun sa lesson room. So pwede mo pang aralin yung material kung hindi ka familiar. Also, materials are interactive. Nabanggit ko to dun sa part 1. Na kapag nag-click ka ng picture sa lesson material, makikita ng student. Kapag nag-highlight ka ng word, makikita ng student. So, napakagandang feature ito ng lesson room ng ENGOO. Next, ito din. Sa chat box ng ENGOO, may tatlong portions doon. Una ay yung chat, kung saan pwede kayong mag-chat ng student. Pangalawa ay notes. And it's collaborative. So, pwedeng maglagay siya dun sa notes, pwedeng maglagay ka. Meron ding dictionary. So, aside from searching on our preferred dictionaries online, meron ding sariling dictionary sa ENGOO. Pero ang kadalasang ginagamit dito ay yung chat. Hindi mo required gamitin. Parang additional tools mo lang na provided sa lesson room ng ENGOO. Punta tayo sa Rarejob. You can only enter the lesson room 5 minutes before the lesson start. Yun lang yung medyo downside ng ENGOO. Kasi 5 minutes before lang ng lesson start mo siya pwedeng i-open. And you need to choose the material manually. So pagka-enter mo ng lesson room, 'di ba sa previous lesson notes makikita mo na yung previous na lesson ng student. So alam mo na kung anong lesson ang i-open mo. However, kailangan mo siyang manually na hanapin. So i-search mo yung type of material, lesson number, i-open mo, at hindi siya interactive unlike sa ENGOO. So meron ka lang tutor's copy at meron ding student's copy. Minsan, pag wala pa sa student yung copy nila, pwede mong isend yung link ng student copy. And sa chatbox lang talaga. So, medyo panalo ang ENGOO pagdating sa lesson room. Eto na guys. Ito talaga yung parang tinitignan natin eh. Ito talaga yung criteria na hinihintay natin. Let's talk about the rate comparison of ENGOO and Rarejob. So sa ENGOO, dati, ang pay rate nila ay 120 pesos per hour. I'm not sure kailan nag-start, pero late last year, tinaas nila, naging 130 pesos per hour. Dati rin ang withholding tax deduction ng ENGOO ay 10%. Pero, nakipag-usap sila sa BIR and they agreed on the expanded withholding tax deduction. So, 2% na lang, guys. Napakalaking difference nun. From 10%, 2% na lang ng tax deduction ang ibabawas sa tutor fee ng tutors. So, let's have a sample computation para mas malinaw. 130 pesos per hour less 2% tax equals X. Ang 2% ng 130 pesos ay 2 pesos and 60 cents. So, wala pang 3. Wala pang 3 pesos. So, ang magiging rate kapag binawas ng tax ay 127 pesos and 40 centavos. So, parang wala lang yung tax sa ENGOO. Punta naman tayo sa Rarejob. Sa Rarejob, ang rate ay 110 pesos per hour. So that's 55 per lesson. Ang withholding tax deduction ay 10%. Hindi pa siya nababago. I hope na mabago siya soon. Na gumaya din sila sa ENGOO. So let's have a sample computation. 110 pesos per hour less 10%. 10% ng 110, of course, ay 11. So 110 minus 11, it's going to be 99 pesos per hour. So kung ikukumpara natin, mas mataas sa ENGOO. Now, let's talk about the incentives comparison. Kasi hindi lang naman basic rate, di ba? Meron din tayong incentives. Let's start with ENGOO. Sa ENGOO, mahahati sa dalawang cut-off. Dalawang beses din ang sahod, kada 15 and end of the month. So, per cut-off din ang criteria sa pagbibigay ng incentives. If you conduct 100 lessons per cut-off, which is 15 days, you will have an incentive of 500 pesos. And if you had no cancellations during the cut-off, you will have another 500 pesos. So that's going to be 1,000 pesos per cut-off. Now, what if wala kang cancellation pero wala kang 100 lessons, 90 lessons lang? Wala kang incentives. Kasi ang criteria for the no cancellation bonus ay may 100 lessons ka at wala ka ring cancellation. So, 2 cut-off sa isang buwan. So, possible monthly incentives ay 2,000 pesos. That's fixed. Punta naman tayo sa Rarejob incentives. Sa Rarejob, meron silang 4 na klase ng monthly incentive. Hindi ko na in-specify kasi hindi ko alam kung pwede bang i-disclose yon. So let's just name them as incentive 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you meet those certain criteria, you can have 5 pesos per hour as an additional per incentive yan. Dun sa incentive number 4, you can only avail that if you've already worked with Rarejob for at least 91 days. So sa new tutors, parang hindi ka na kaagad pasok sa incentive number 4. Okay, so let's do a sample computation para mas makita natin yung diferensya. Let's have a comparison. So the same number of lessons, and let's try to have a computation na pareho mong nakuha yung incentives sa ENGOO, tapos pareho ding nakuha ang incentives sa Rarejob. Gawin muna natin yung sa ENGOO. So for example, you've had 200 lessons during for 1 month. So you've worked for 100 hours. So the basic profit would be 100 hours multiplied by 130 pesos, which is the basic rate. That's going to be 13,000 pesos in a month na yan. This is just a sample computation. Of course, mas malaki ang pwede mong kitain kung mas marami kang lessons na inopen. But just for the sake of comparison. So profit with incentive, since 100 lessons lang naman per cut-off ang required, so mahihit mo yung incentives mo. Let's just say na wala kang cancellation. So 13,000, which is the basic, plus 2,000 pesos incentives, that's going to be 15,000 pesos. Ang 2% ng 15,000 ay 300 pesos lang. Mapakaliit lang. So, that would be 14,700 pesos. Ngayon, dito tayo sa Rarejob. So, for example, you have 200 lessons, which is equivalent to 100 hours. The basic profit would be 100 hours multiplied by the rate 110 pesos, magiging 11,000. So, medyo angat na kaagad ang ENGOO kasi 13,000 ang basic profit, 11,000 lang sa Rarejob. But let's try it with the incentives, 100 hours times 20. Bakit ko sinabing 20? Kasi dito sa previous Rarejob incentives, we have 4 incentives. That's 5 pesos each. So kung na-hit mo lahat ng criteria, makukuha mo incentive 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's 5 pesos each. So 5, 10, 15, 20 pesos. So doon galing yung 20 pesos. So kung na-hit mo lahat yung 4 na incentive criteria, you will have 2,000 pesos na incentive. So pantay lang doon sa monthly incentive ng ENGOO. Kapag 3 lang doon sa 4 na incentive criteria ang nakuha mo, you'll have 15 pesos multiplied by the hours. So that's 1,500. Pag 2 lang sa incentives, 10 pesos lang multiplied by 100, so 1,000. Pag isa lang naman, 5 pesos multiplied by 100, 500 pesos. So let's compute the profit. Profit 1. Profit 1 ay yung nakuha mo lahat ng incentives. So 11,000 basic rate plus 2,000 na possible incentives equals 13,000. Now, ibabawas natin yung 10%. So 13,000 minus 1,300, that's 11,700. Profit 2. 11,000 plus 1,500, which is yung possible incentives mo kung 3 criterias ang nakuha mo, 3 incentives ang nakuha mo. So that's 12,500 minus 1,250, which is the 10% tax deduction. That's going to be 11,250. Same goes with profit 3, 10,800, profit 4, 10,350. So those are your possible tutor fee kung ma-hit mo ang certain number of incentives. So let's compare. Sa ENGOO, 14,700. Sa Rarejob, pag na-hit mo yung 4 na incentives nila, it's only 11,700. Pinakamataas na yon. Kasi na-hit mo na yung 4 na incentives. Pag pababa, it could be up unto 10,350. Ngayon, let's try a different computation naman. Panibagong hours ulit. Let's say that you worked 20 days per month for 8 hours in a day. So this sample computation is, kunwari, igay natin sa setup pag nag-work ka sa office. So you work 8 hours a day, Mondays to Fridays. So sa isang buwan, merong 20 days or more, actually, pero nilagay na lang nating 20 days. So this could be more than 20 days, but for the sake of the computation, let's just say 20 days, and then 8 hours a day. So 20 times 8, 20 days times 8 hours, that's 160 hours. That's equivalent to 320 lessons. So 160 hours multiplied by the rate, 130 pesos per hour, that's going to be 20,800. If we add the incentives, the 2,000, magiging 22,800 less the tax. Ang tax nito ay 456 lang, hindi man lang umabot ng 500. So the tutor fee would be 22,344 pesos. So imagine, guys, kung mag-work ka sa ENGOO, parang ginawa mo siyang full-time job, you can earn 22,000 pesos. And of course, that's just working from Mondays to Fridays. If you're going to work for Saturdays and Sundays or mag-add ka lang ng hours, napakalaking difference nun. 20 plus, 20,000 plus. So, pwedeng-pwedeng maging full-time job ang ENGOO. Ngayon, punta naman tayo sa Rarejob. So, syempre, the same number of hours para tama talaga yung comparison natin. 160 hours multiplied by 110 pesos, which is the rate per hour. That's 17,600. Again, for the possible incentives, we will multiply it into 160 times 20 pesos kasi 4 ang incentives, 5 pesos per hour ang dagdag. So 5, 10, 15, 20 pesos. That's equivalent to 3,200. Pag tatlo lang, 2,400. Pag dalawa lang na incentives ang na-reach mo, 1,600. Pag isa lang, 800 lang. So profit 1, basic rate 17,600 plus your incentives na 3,200. That's 20,800. But if we deduct the tax, that's going to be just 18,720 pesos. Ouch. So masakit ang 10% na tax. So sana talaga in the future bumaba din ang tax ng Rarejob. So profit 2, kapag tatlong incentives ang na-hit mo, you will have 18,000. Pag dalawa lang, 17,280. Kapag isa lang, 16,560. So mas mataas pa rin ang ENGOO. Pero guys, 18,000, 16,000 in a month just for working 5 days a week. Sa 4 na week, diba? Mondays to Fridays lang. So parang basic working hours lang sa office. Malaking bagay na yun, guys. So let's do computation kapag may intermittent incentive. Ano yung sabihin nitong intermittent? So hindi siya regular na nangyayari. Intermittent in a way na pabugso-bugso ang Rarejob na may binibigay silang pa-incentive na offer. So, paano ba ito? Let's just have an example. Again, this is not an actual offer but just for the sake of illustration. So, ang itsura niya ay you are offered or you are informed that there is an incentive offer for today. So, may specific lang na araw at merong criteria para ma-reach mo ang incentive na yon for the day. So for example, today, if you open 7 to 10 lesson slots from a certain time, kunwari lang, 5 a.m. to 11:55 a.m., and you open all the 4 slots from 9 a.m. to 10:55 a.m., so 4 na lesson slots yon, and you maintain zero cancellation ratio, ibig sabihin wala kang cancellation dapat. During that time period, magkakaroon ka ng 250 pesos. Just by opening your slots. Hindi kailangang booked lahat yon. Basta i-open mo lang yung slots. And meron din, pag mas marami kang inopen, mas mataas. So if you open 11 or more, from the same time, 5 a.m. to 11:55 a.m., again, open the 4 slots, maintain zero cancellation ratio, you will receive 500 pesos just for one day. And that's just an additional. Iba pa yung mismong bayad dun sa mga ikakandak mong lesson. So, wow. May paganyan ang Rarejob. Kadalasan ito ay sa weekend kasi peak nga yung weekend, maraming students. And I think binabase din nila ito kapag kokonti ang tutors na nag-open at maraming student. So parang pang-engganyo nila sa tutors na mag-open ka ng slots mo. So, pero maganda, di ba? Pag mag-open ka ng 11 slots, may 500 pesos ka na kaagad, bash. So maganda itong intermittent incentive. Now, let's have a sample computation. Wow, puro numbers. My God, paano ko ito nagawa? So let's just say, for example, that you worked 160 hours, paparehas lang nung kaninang kinompute natin. So, parehas lang doon lahat. Profit 1, na-reach mo yung 4 monthly incentives. Profit 2, 3 lang. Profit 3, 2 lang. Profit 4, isa lang sa incentives. Monthly incentive ang na-reach mo. But right now, let's have an example na merong intermittent incentive at na-reach mo yon. So, dito muna tayo sa left part. Kunwari, sa isang linggo, merong offer na yun nga, pag nag-open ka ng 7 slots, yung 3 criteria na meet mo at that's 250 pesos. So you will have, for example, sa isang linggo, meron kang isang offer na ganon at na-reach mo. So weekly, meron kang incentive offer, na-reach mo, you receive 250 pesos. So week 1, may 250, week 2, week 3, week 4, may 250 pesos ka. So meron kang 1,000 pesos sa isang buwan na dagdag, liban pa dun sa monthly incentive. Ang magiging pagkakaiba niya, madadagdagan yung sasahurin mo. So dito sa una, 18,720 pesos, madadagdagan siya ng magiging 19,620. That's already your net pay. Nabawas na ang tax doon. So, ganun din, 19,620 or 18,900, 18,180 or 17,460. Ngayon, doon tayo sa right side. What if? What if naman? Masipag ka. 11 slots ang inopen mo, pataas. So, 500 pesos. Wow, 500 pesos kada linggo. So, 500, 500, 500, 500, that's 1,000 sa dalawa. So, 1,000, 1,000, 2,000 pesos. So, let's add profit 1, 20,800. So, ang una natin ay from profit 1, 18,720. Yun yung nakuha mo yung 4 incentives for the month. I-add natin yung 2,000. That becomes 20,800 pesos. Plus, teka lang. Parang mali yata ang computation ko dito. 18,000. Oo nga, nadoble ko. Wait lang guys, ayusin ko. Nagkamali ako. Okay guys, I'm back. Nalito ako sa computation, pero tama pala. My God, math! Kasi yung 20,800 ay nanggaling doon sa hindi pa nababawasan yung tax. Kasi dapat i-compute muna natin lahat ng incentives bago natin i-deduct yung tax. Sorry guys. Ang aking math ay, my gosh, nakakawindang. So, punta muna tayo dito. So, balikan natin sa umpisa. 160 hours times 110, which is the rate, 17,600. If you achieve the 4 incentives, meron kang additional na 20 pesos. So, that's additional of 3,200. So, pag pinag-add mo yon, ang magiging kalalabasan ay 20,800. Pag inad mo yung intermittent possible incentives na 2,000, which is kapag na-reach mo yung 500 pesos na offer and it was offered just for example weekly, so tagi isang week meron kang 500, that's going to be 22,800. Ngayon, ibabawas na natin yung tax na 10%, 22,800 minus 2,280, that's equivalent to 20,520. Laki. So, ganun din, kapag tatlong incentives lang ang nakuha mo dun sa monthly, 19,800, and the lowest could be 18,360. Yon. Okay, next naman. Ito. What if maswerte ang buwan na ito? So, parang 2 beses kang sinendan ng email ng Rarejob about the offer. So, kunwari, Monday, may pa-incentive. Saturday, may pa-incentive ulit. Tapos, parehas mong na-reach yun. So, twice a week, kunwari. So, 4 weeks in a month. So, 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 times. Kaya 8 times 250, which is equivalent to 2,000 pesos. Ang magiging profit mo ay 20,520. Pero what if it's the 500 pesos na ni-reach mo, talagang nag-open ka ng 11 slots during those offers. Para naman ma-reach mo yung pinakamataas, syempre 500 pesos yun sa isang araw, di ba? So, 2 beses na ganon sa isang linggo. So, twice a week. So, that's 8 times in a month times 500 pesos. So, that's an incentive of 4,000 pesos. Not yet including yung monthly incentive. So, kapag in-include natin lahat-lahat, punta tayo dito sa right side na computation, 160 hours times 110 pesos is equal to 17,600. Kapag na-reach mo yung 4 na criteria sa monthly incentive, that's an additional of 3,200. So 17,600 plus 3,200, that's 20,800 pesos plus 4,000 incentives, that's 24,800. Less tax, unfortunately, 22,320 pesos. Wow! Pinakamababa pag isang incentive lang ang naabot mo sa monthly incentive criteria, 20,160. Laki pa rin. But that's only if twice a week nag-send ng intermittent incentives ang Rarejob at parehas mong nakuha yung 500 pesos na pa-incentive. Again, this is intermittent. Hindi palaging meron. Pero hindi siya madalang. So this is still possible. But I don't want you to think na, oh, palagi palang meron. Nasa discretion yun ng Rarejob. So this is just a sample computation para mapagkumpara talaga natin. Para naman sa computation natin ay hindi lugi ang Rarejob. Kasi kung sa rate, mas mataas talagang ENGOO. Pero what if nare-reach mo yung incentives, di ba? So, ngayon, side by side na natin ang computation. Sa ENGOO, ang possible incentives ay 2,000 pesos lang talaga per month. So, sa 320 lessons or 160 hours, if you work Mondays to Fridays for 8 hours, and you reach the incentives, that's 22,344. Sa Rarejob naman, yung pinaka-previous na computation ang ilalagay natin, which is yung merong 500 pesos na intermittent offer at nakuha mo siya twice, 2 times sa isang linggo. So that's 8 times in a month. So that's 4,000 pesos incentives. Ang pinakamataas na makukuha mo ay 22,320. So maliit na lang ang diferensya nila dun sa 22,344. However, kung hindi mo ma-reach yung 4 na incentives, 3 lang, that's 21,600. Profit 3, pag dalawang incentives lang, 20,880. And kapag isang incentive lang sa monthly incentive criteria ang na-reach mo, 20,160 pesos. Oh, di ba? Laki. And that's not yet, including if you work extra hours, like weekends or additional hours, you work more than 8 hours. So, malaki. Malaki talaga, guys, ang pwede mong kitain sa Rarejob at sa ENGOO. I hope this helped para mapagkumpara ninyo. So, I think kung masipag ka at handa mong i-reach ang mga pa-incentives ng Rarejob, it's possible na maging mas mataas ang pwede mong sahurin sa Rarejob compared sa ENGOO. Pero kung gusto mo yung mas sure ka na, kumbaga is hindi ka aasa sa intermittent pa incentive, mas mataas ang makukuha mo sa ENGOO. Okay, punta naman tayo ngayon sa cancellation guidelines comparison. Sa ENGOO, maka-cancel ang lesson mo kapag 1, ikaw ang nag-cancel, you can do self-cancellation. Number 2, if the duration of the lesson that you conducted is less than 20 minutes. So, kapag, kunwari, 10 minutes lang, tapos nagkaroon ng problema, it could be a personal reason, biglang sumama yung tiyan mo, kunwari, tapos kailangan mong i-end early. Of course, magpaalam ka sa estudyante, magiging cancelled. Ka-cancel mo yung lesson. So, that's going to be considered a canceled lesson, kahit na nag-conduct ka na ng 10 minutes. Pangatlo, if you are disconnected from the lesson page for more than 5 accumulated minutes. So, hindi kailangan diretso. Kunwari, nagkakaroon ka ng internet problem. napuputol ng napuputol. Ang lalabas kasi doon, tutor left the conversation ba or the lesson room, parang ganon. Kapag umabot ng 5 minutes na ganon ang nangyayari, unfortunately, it will be considered a cancellation. Next, if you're unable to join within the first 2 minutes, so late ka. Okay lang mali ng 1 minute basta hindi ka abot ng 2 minutes. Kasi kapag hindi ka naka-join, naka-enter ng lesson room, my gosh, automatically magka-cancel na siya. Ngayon, tignan naman natin ang sa Rarejob. So sa Rarejob, you will incur cancellations when, of course, you canceled the lesson. Ito yung medyo masakit na part. You will also incur cancellation if you failed to update tutor attendance, whether standby or absent, 35 to 11 minutes before the lesson start time. Kasi sa Rarejob, for example, ang klase mo ay 9 o'clock at dapat before mag-start ang 9 o'clock, 35 minutes to 11 minutes before 9 o'clock, i-update mo yung attendance mo. Ilalagay mo kung naka-standby ka, ibig sabihin, you're waiting for the lesson to start or absent ka. So if, for example, ready ka naman mag-take ng lesson, pero nakalimutan mong kailangan mo nga pala mag-update ng tutor attendance, automatically makakancel ang lesson mo, mapupunta sa ibang tutor yung klase mo. And I think this is really a hassle na I don't think if other tutors would be able to relate na may mga pagkakataon talaga minsan na makakalimutan mo. So yun ang medyo hassle na part. Also, if you update your attendance to standby but not conducting the lesson, so in-update mo na standby pero hindi ka naman nag-conduct ng lesson, so cancellation yun. Next, failed to respond to a lesson trouble report within 24 hours. So students can file a lesson trouble report and you will be sent an email to respond kung ano bang nangyari. So hindi naman porket nag-send sila ng lesson trouble report ay magkakaroon ka agad ng cancellation. So titignan din nila yan. However, you still need to explain yourself kung ano bang nangyari. And you need to respond within 24 hours. Otherwise, magiging cancellation siya. Next, fail to complete the allocated lesson time due to disruptions on the tutor's side or tutor's end. So, hindi mo na kompleto yung lesson time na 25 minutes. For example, nagkaroon ng power outage. So, magiging cancellation yon. However, para sa mga power outages, pwede mo naman na ipaalam sa tutor support na may nangyaring ganon. However, you need to provide proof para hindi ka ma-penalize dun sa power interruption na nangyari. Okay, next. Receiving a no-call trouble report and failing to inform tutor support of availability to conduct the current and succeeding lessons. So, for example, no-call trouble report. So, kunwari, meron kang 4 na klase. Hindi ka na naka-attend dun sa una. So, naka-receive ka ngayon ng no-call trouble report kasi nga hindi mo in-inform ang team na hindi ka naman makakapag-conduct ng klase. Hindi ka nag-chat, hindi ka nag-text kasi may text naman. Kung walang internet, kunwari ang problema, may mga numbers na pwede mong i-text para ipaalam na hindi ka makakapag-conduct ng klase. So, yun. That would also be a cancellation. Now, let's look at the penalty. Sa ENGOO, merong no penalty cancellations na tinatawag. So, na-cancel yung klase mo, pero hindi ka magkakaroon ng penalty. So, wala kang babayaran. Ang mga possible na no penalty cancellations na may tuturing ay website outages. So, ibig sabihin problema sa end ng ENGOO ang nangyari. ISP or Internet Service Provider downtime. You can provide proof of this kasi di ba may mga text messages namang sinisend o kaya pinopost nila sa Facebook page or sa website. So, you can take a screenshot of that, isend mo sa tutor support. Typhoons are natural disasters. So, for example, nagkaroon ng typhoon. Siyempre, madaming nasalanta. Diba? So, considerate naman ang ENGOO in terms of those. Next, death or hospitalization of an immediate family member and hospitalization of the tutor. However, for these lessons to be tagged as no penalty, you must submit evidence. For example, for hospitalization, medical certificate. If it's about a death of a immediate family member, you need to provide the death certificate via the cancellation dispute process. And ang mga kinoconsider nila na immediate family member ay parents, grandparents, siblings, children, grandchildren by blood or adoption, spouse or live-in partner. Di ba? Napaka-considerate ng ENGOO. Kahit live-in partner, kinoconsider nila. Punta naman tayo sa Rarejob. So, meron ding no penalty cancellations. Pero ang nakalagay doon, in case a tutor needs to cancel a booked lesson slot due to unforeseen circumstances, it must be requested through tutor support as early as possible and with valid supporting information to avoid undue penalties. So, hindi masyadong nakaspecify kung anong klase. But most likely, parehas lang din sa documents na ibibigay with ENGOO. Kasi, ano bang i-present mo pag hospitalization, di ba? Siyempre, medical certificate. So, parang ganon. Now, okay, dito na tayo sa computation ng cancellation penalty sa ENGOO. Medyo masakit ito, guys. So, merong dalawang klase ang cancellation. We have with notice cancellation and without notice cancellation. So with notice cancellation, it could be when you cancel the lesson before the lesson start time. So isi-self-cancel mo. Sending a cancellation request during the lesson time. So okay lang na hindi before, kahit na kalagitnaan or basta hindi pa tapos yung lesson time. Next, the tutor connected within the first 2 minutes but was disconnected from the lesson page for more than 5 accumulated minutes. Ito yung kanina. So, hindi kailangan diretso kapag nadidisconnect ka at umaba na ng 5 minutes, canceled na yon. Next, the tutor did not connect within the first 2 minutes but has informed tutor support about it within the lesson time. So, kunwari nagka-problema sa connection, tapos in-inform mo naman ang tutor support, it will be considered a with notice cancellation. So ito na. If the total number of canceled classes in a cutoff, so within 15 days, regardless of the tagging, so with or without notice, so if the total number is equal to or lower than 5, the penalty for each with notice cancellation will be 20 pesos. So, pagsamahin natin ang with at without notice, kapag 5 yan or lower, each cancellation is 20 pesos. However, incurring more than 5 cancellations of any tagging in the same cutoff will warrant an increased penalty which is equal to the tutor's lesson rate in case of with notice cancellations. So the same lesson rate, which is 65 pesos, so kapag umabot ka or lumagpas ka ng 5, 65 pesos per lesson. So for example, 65 times 6, yun ang penalty mo. Hindi ka na nga nabayaran, pandidedakan ka pa ng the same na rate mo, 65 pesos. Kaya, dapat talaga we are ready. We should make sure na ma-attendan natin ang mga ino-open natin na classes kasi kapag na-book na yon, kailangan mo i-cancel pag di ka makakapunta. Unless, yun nga mga na-mention kanina, na hospitalization, internet service provider problem, pag ganon, pwede naman siyang itag as no penalty. Basta mag-provide ka ng documents. Pero kung personal, since tayo naman ang nagpa-plot ng schedule natin, we can avoid that. Huwag muna tayo mag-plot in advance masyado kung alam mong magiging busy ka. Okay? So ito na, without notice, mas masakit ito. The tutor did not join the lesson page within the first 2 minutes of the lesson and hasn't informed tutor support about it within the lesson time. So, ang possible na nangyari dito, nakalimutan mo, nakatulog ka, parang ganon. Ang mangyayari dito, if the total number of the canceled classes in a cutoff, regardless of the tagging, is equal to or lower than 5, the penalty for each without notice cancellation will be 2 times the tutor's rate per lesson. So 65 times 2, 130 pesos. So katumbas siya ng isang oras mong rate. And that's if it's less than 5. However, incurring more than 5 cancellations of any tagging in the same cutoff will warrant an increased penalty, which is 3 times the tutor's lesson rate in case of without notice cancellations. This means that if you cancel more than 5 classes in a cutoff, the penalty for each without notice cancellation will be 3 times your lesson rate. So that's 65 times 3, 195 pesos per without notice cancellation. My God, 195 pesos kada isa. So kung 6 yan, imagine mo na lang, 195 times 6. Napakalaki ng penalty. Dito naman tayo sa Rarejob. Mas considerate ang Rarejob compared sa ENGOO in terms of cancellation penalty. So meron ding with and without notice cancellation at magkaiba rin ang penalty. So with notice cancellation, it would be 10 pesos per first lesson of the day. So for example, meron kang 5 klase na inopen. Hindi ka naka-attend doon sa 5 yon, pero with notice siya. So, nag-update ka sa attendance mo ng absent, or you requested to transfer the student within 1 hour before the lesson. So, kinancel mo na siya before mismo ng lesson. It would be equivalent to 10 pesos only per first lesson of the day. So, ang babawasan lang ay yung first lesson mo. Hindi siya per lesson. Which is maganda, di ba? So, without notice cancellation naman, without notice siyang may tuturing kasi hindi ka nag-update ng attendance mo or hindi mo kinancel. Not being able to request the transfer of the student 1 hour, at least 1 hour before the lesson starts, or not being able to update the attendance to standby. Parang parehas lang ibig sabihin nun. Basta hindi ka nagpasabi na absent ka, so hindi ka nakapag update ng attendance mo, so automatically canceled na siya. So that's 30 pesos naman per first lesson of the day. So pag 4 na klase ang hindi mo na-attendan, that's also 30 pesos lang sa isang araw. Kasi ang i-check lang nila ay first lesson of the day. However, although they are very considerate about cancellation penalties, if your monthly cancellation ratio reaches 10%, you will have a 20% deduction on your tutor fee, yung total. So kasama dyan ng incentives. So for example, your tutor fee is 5,005. Ang 20% nun ay 1,001. So, magiging tutor fee mo na lang ay 4,004 pesos. Ang laki, di ba? 1,000 yung ibabawas sa'yo. So, yun. Be mindful na ang cancellation ratio mo ay 10%. Hindi aabot pala ng 10%. And sa Rarejob, meron kasi silang codes. 204, 208 codes. So, hindi lang yung hindi ka nag-conduct ng klase ang sinasama nila. Meron din yung 208. Yung 208 ay kapag nag-close ka ng open na slot, kunwari, the same day mo siya clinose, or nag-open ako today. Ay, mag-open ako ng slot for tomorrow. Okay? So, inopen ko. Tapos, nagbago isip ko, i-close ko na lang pala, may gagawin ako bukas. So, hindi pa booked yung slot. Pero clinose ko na siya. Magiging 208 ang code nun. And kapag hindi mo siya in-update kung standby or absent, magiging, ganun pa rin, magiging 208 siya. So, kailangan mong i-reconfirm yung attendance. And 208 and 204, 204 yung mismong canceled, yung hindi ka nag-update ng standby or absent. Parehas siyang kino-compute sa cancellation ratio. So, kailangan mo ring tignang mabuti. Medyo complicated ang attendance system ng Rarejob. Kasi hindi lang yung hindi ka nag-attend ang kino-compute nila, pati yung pag-close mo ng open slot ng walang 2 days. Kasi at least 2 days before. Or at least 2 days before. Tama. So, kunwari, Monday mo inopen yung pang para sa Friday. So, 5 days pa, di ba? Before ng Friday na slot mo. Pag close mo siya ng Monday, 5 days yon, wala kang 208 na code. Pero kapag Friday, the same day mo siya close, magkakaroon ka ng 208. Ganon. So, meron pang ibang rules yon. May iba pang rules. Huwag na nating masyadong specify. Basta ganon. Basta be mindful of your 208 and 204 codes kasi kasama siya sa cancellation ratio computation. Okay? So, let's have a side-by-side cancellation penalty comparison. So, kita naman, sa ENGOO mas masakit ang penalties with notice cancellations. For example, ang classes na inopen mo ay 8:30, 9, 9:30, and 10. So, that's 4 classes. If it's with notice cancellation and it's less than or equal to 5, so 4 less than, it would be times 20 pesos per lesson that you open. So 4 times 20 equals 80 pesos. Kapag 5, naman, kasi ang nakalagay doon ay, balikan natin. Parang mali yata yung nilagay ko Equal to or less than. Okay. So, mali itong nakalagay dito. Kapag 5 siya, dapat times 20 pa din siya. So, magiging 100 pesos. Pero kapag 6, magiging times 65 na siya. Kasi dapat equal to or less than. So, kapag 5 lang siya, magiging times 20 pesos pa rin ang deduction. Pero kapag lumagpas na siya ng 5, magiging 65 per canceled lesson. Balikan natin ulit saglit para sigurado. Bakit mali yung nailagay ko? Equal to or lower than 5. Okay. Tapos dito din, incurring more than 5. Okay. So 5 is okay. 5 is still 20 pesos. If it's more than 5, that's going to be 65. So I'm sorry. Kamali ako dyan. Hindi ko masyadong nakita. Pero at least na-clarify natin. So pag 5 times 20 pesos, so that's 100. Pero kapag 6 classes na ang cancellations mo, so that's more than 5, 6 times 65, that's 390 pesos na deduction. So without notice cancellation naman, kapag 4 classes ang without notice mo, ang magiging deduction mo ay equivalent ng 2 times ng lesson rate mo, which is 130 pesos. So that would be 4 times 130 pesos, 520 pesos. Para lang sa 4 na hindi mo nakandak. But if it reaches 6, kasi equal to or less than 5, di ba? So, pag equal to, pag 5 lang siya, times 130 pesos pa din. Pag umabot na siya ng 6, it will be 1,170 pesos. Pag umabot ng 6, which is 3 times the lesson rate. Masakit, best. So, dito tayo sa Rarejob. With notice cancellations, sa isang araw, meron kang 4 na lessons. Yung first lesson lang ang may deduction, so 10 pesos lang. So, without notice, 30 pesos lang. That's per day. So, kung sa ibang araw na naman, ganun ulit. However, if you have a cancellation ratio of 10%, you'll have 20% deduction, which is just like the example earlier. Kapag 5,005, ang deduction mo ay 1,001, which is 20% of your tutor fee. So, kung mas malaki ang tutor fee mo, mas malaki ang deduction mo. So, yun. we can see na sa part na ito, mas lamang ang Rarejob kasi mas considerate sila in terms of penalty. But parehas silang considerate in a sense na meron tayong mga with no penalty cancellations, which is yung talagang hindi naman nating kasalanan na na-cancel. Like, kunwari, nagkaroon ng power interruption, nagka-problem ang PLDT or Converge, nagkaroon ng typhoon. So, consider it, sa ENGOO pala yon, sa ENGOO yon, yung pag may typhoon, hindi nila ipipenalize yung mga canceled lessons. Sa Rarejob, hindi ako sure kung kasama ang typhoon kasi sabi, depende kung i-approve ng tutor support. So I'm not so sure about that. But we can see here the difference. So yun lang. Yun na ang ating back-to-back, side-by-side comparison. So, balikan natin. Pagdating sa students, mostly sa ENGOO, iba-ibang countries. Sa Rarejob, mostly ay Japanese adults or different ages din, but mostly Japanese or people living in Japan. So even kahit ibang nationalities pero nakatira sa Japan. Sa materials naman, parehas na provided nila ang kanilang materials. So hindi ka na kailangan mamroblema kung ano ba ang ituturo mo, kung paano mo ba ituturo kasi ang instructions ay nandoon na din. Merong rating system na 5 stars ang pinakamataas. Sa lesson room naman, interactive ang sa ENGOO. Sa Rarejob, kailangan mong i-open mismo yung material. And in terms of rate, mas mataas ang rate ng ENGOO, which is 130 pesos per hour. Sa Rarejob, 110 pesos per hour. Sa ENGOO, ang incentives ay possible of 2,000 pesos incentives per month. Sa ENGOO, merong 4 incentives per month na pwede mong ma-reach. Merong criteria ang bawat isa doon. Meron ding intermittent incentives, which is nasa discretion ng Rarejob kung merong incentive for a certain day or not. So, hindi mo siya dapat asahan. Hindi siya palaging meron. So, yan. That's it. We already did a side-by-side of the comparison ng ENGOO at Rarejob. So, the question now is, which is better, ENGOO or Rarejob? I cannot answer for you. Ikaw ang makakasagot niyan. So, I just gave you the comparison, the information that you might need to decide which ESL company you will be applying for. So, whichever you choose, pareha silang maganda, pareha silang nakakatulong, and I wish you good luck. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye!